About 10 years ago, a friend from grad school gave me the book Open Heart, Clear Mind by Venerable Chodron. And this was my first encounter with Buddhism. And the Dharma has obviously changed my life in a very profound way, if you can't guess from the clothing. But it hasn't been a straightforward process. It's been one of investigation, assessing my progress, going back to what is familiar, reaffirming my aspirations, and finally eliminating obstacles. So in the summer of 2016, I was very eager to explore monastic life, and so I took Anagarika precepts at the Abbey to really explore this aspiration that I had. But by the end of that year, it was clear to myself and to Venerable Chodron that it wasn't working for many reasons, which I will explore in this talk. And so I remained a layperson for many years and moved to Spokane. And during that time, I was really deepening my practice, really gaining clarity. And so now, 6 years later, and very, very newly ordained, like only less than a month, I've learned a lot about my mind and how to practice. And so I wanted to focus this talk on the advice that I heard, what did not work in terms of trying to put that advice into practice, what did work or what is working, and what I learned. So one of the first things I heard was, you can't should yourself to Buddhahood. You can't say, I should meditate, I should study, I should be a monastic. It just doesn't work. I remember very clearly being in the chapel in guided meditation. This happened many, many times. And I sat there in meditation posture, and in my mind I said, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. It's like, that's a clue. Something is not working. And so a couple years later after that, I had reduced my practice to 1 session a day when I was living in Spokane. But I had this thought that, I really wanted to go deeper in my meditations. And I had a really good Dharma friend, and we had a conversation. And what came out of that was a commitment to each other to increase our practice. And for me, what that meant was meditating 5 minutes a day in the evening for 1 week. If I could do that, then increase it to 10 minutes, but not increase it prematurely. And so I did that all the way until I was up to an hour. And by that time, it had become a habit. I had begun to really enjoy it, to take delight in meditation. And then that was sustainable. The other thing I was shooting myself about was I shouldn't listen to music. So I have loved music. I still love music. But I was telling myself, you can't listen to this. That's not what monastics do. And that didn't work. So I started to listen to music a little bit. And then I started to look at the disadvantages of having music playing in my head when I was trying to sit to meditate. And it became very clear that I don't want to listen to music. And so it was this dropping away. It was this letting go. It wasn't a pushing away. And I found that distinction to be very helpful in terms of cultivating renunciation. So what I learned from all of this is that you have to enjoy what you do. Sounds very obvious. And if you're not enjoying it, then investigate why. So the next thing I heard was, your motivation is more important than the task. So during my first time as an Anagarika, my first priority was looking like a good Anagarika. So clearly my motivation was one of the 8 worldly concerns. I was running into breakfast dishes without finishing my breakfast, but doing it with a very resentful, angry mind. I was showing up on time for lunch when I really had to go to the bathroom. And I would sit, either constipated or having to pee, and I couldn't even enjoy my food because I wasn't taking care of myself. I was trying to look like a good practitioner. And I would also try to get things done. I would try to get the offering service task done so I could do something more fun. So I've learned to take care of myself. I've learned to do what I need. And one thing I've learned, very important, is to be comfortable with unfinished tasks. So I'm part of the Abbey's prison project, and I have many unanswered letters on my desk. And my practice is becoming comfortable with that. And when I do answer a letter, do it with a good motivation and think about who I'm writing to. So the bottom line is training the mind. And what I learned was that there's way more flexibility than I thought. Everyone here, we're all people, and we have things to do, and we have bodily functions. And there's space for that here. And so I'm learning very slowly to relax. The other thing that I heard was to build the foundation first. So what did I do? I read Nagarjuna's treatise on the middle. Without a commentary. And you'll be surprised to hear that it became boring. My interest in Buddhist philosophy dried up. I became completely unreceptive to the teachings. I was sitting in the media room listening to a teaching, I think by Geshe Topke, and my mind was just totally shut down. I couldn't see how it related to my life because I wasn't relating it to my life. I was just trying to get a lot of intellectual knowledge that did pretty much nothing for my mind except make me unreceptive. So what I'm learning to do now is apply antidotes to the afflictions. One of the things that has been really helpful is making a list that keeps growing of things to do when I'm unhappy. And so when I find an antidote that works, I add it to the list. My list is very long, but it is super helpful. I also am trying to study what inspires my mind. And I'm getting creative with how to take notes and study. So I've had the habit of just taking notes as fast as I can, getting down everything someone says. What I'm doing now is I'm trying to think about what I can use for meditation, what I can use in daily life. Focus on that. If I can pull out one meditation outline from what I hear in a teaching, that's good. And so what I'm recognizing is what I need and what inspires me, and I'm doing that. So all of this is very much a work in progress. That is not to say that I don't get tense. I don't sometimes, not enjoy what I'm doing, or I have a perfectly pure motivation. I'm not saying that at all. But I have recognized improvement, and that is why I'm in robes. Because that gives me confidence in this path. Gives me confidence that I can do this. And that goes a very, very long way. So I was thinking about an analogy for my periods of time at the Abbey. And I was thinking about it in terms of swimming. So I grew up in Florida, was in the ocean a lot. When I was here as an Anagarika for the first time, I was drowning. I was drowning in bad moods, resentment, stress, the afflictions. Now, not every day, most days, I am trying to keep my head above water. I'm treading water, but I'm not sinking to the bottom. And I aspire to be able to swim skillfully through afflictions and karma. And this is exactly, I think, what the bodhisattvas do, is they're able to use the waves of afflictions and karma and not only swim skillfully through them, but then rescue others who are drowning. So that is really what I'm inspired to do. I know I cannot change the outer world. I can only work to try, at least, the best that I can to manage my own mind. And I know I have a lot of work to do, but what I have found is this is the most meaningful thing I could do with my life. To train the mind in realistic and altruistic thoughts is not only going to be a positive benefit for myself, but it's going to be a benefit to all beings, and not just in this very short life, but in the very long term.